Hey everybody, this is Jay with Inspirion Insurance Solutions and Inspirion Trucking Services, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the FMCSA Controlled Substances and Alcohol BASIC. Our learning objectives for the day are understanding what the CSA and BASIC programs are, learn about the Controlled Substances Alcohol BASIC, the scoring system and the consequences of a high score, and then lastly discover some ways we can help to lower the score. So the CSA program and scoring. Just a quick recap on what the CSA program is. FMCSA has a responsibility to prevent crashes, injuries, and fatalities related to the use of a CMV, and to do this, they use the CSA program. CSA is a monitoring and evaluation system that allows the FMCSA to intervene when safety regulations are not being followed by carriers or their drivers. Performance data appears online in the FMCSA Safety Measurement System, SMS. It's updated once a month and includes information related to driver and vehicle violations, crash reports from the last 2 years, and investigation results. They then organize this data into 7 behavioral analysis and safety improvement categories, also known as BASICs. The scoring measures a motor carrier's performance under each one of the BASICs, assigning a score and prioritizing riskier fleets for intervention. Scores are based upon roadside, on-site, and off-site inspection results and are reflected as a percentage rank from 0 to 100. Higher the percentile, the worse the safety performance. Here's an example of what some of the data looks like through the website. Time weight for CSA scoring. A time weight of 1, 2, or 3 is assigned to every violation based on when the violation occurred. The more recent the crash, the more it'll impact the scores. Violations are going to be weighted triple between now and 6 months. They're going to be weighted double if they occurred between 6 and 12 months ago, and then they have a single weight if they're between 12 and 24, and after 24 they fall out of the system. There's also a severity weight, 1 being the least severe and 10 the most, which is assigned to every applicable violation. In general, the severity relates to the level of crash risk associated with the violation. Violations that would increase the likelihood of future crashes are weighted heavier. And if a violation was so severe enough to warrant an out-of-service order, then the violation is assigned an additional 2 points. Now here's a sample scoring on some of the different violations as well. So, in possession of drugs, 2 months ago it's going to have a 3 times weight and it's going to be at 10 points, so that's 30 points. And if it was like an out-of-service on top of it, you're looking at an additional 2 points, so 32. So you can see how quickly this starts to add up and really impact your score. The Controlled Substances and Alcohol BASIC. This BASIC is one of the 7 categories used to determine how a motor carrier stacks up compared to other carriers within the same similar number of safety events. It aims to prevent the operation of CMVs by drivers who are impaired by alcohol, illegal drugs, or the misuse of prescription or over-the-counter medications. For each BASIC, the FMCSA sets what's called an intervention threshold. And if a carrier scores at or above this threshold, then interventions like warning letter or on-site inspections can occur. And for the Controlled Substance Alcohol BASIC, you're looking at 80% for general carriers, 65% for passenger carriers, and 75% for hazmat carriers. The consequences of being above the intervention threshold. So a high score is going to lead to warning letters from the FMCSA. You can even get, if you don't improve, on-site inspections and fines, more frequent roadside inspections, and higher insurance premiums. So as you can see, it's really critical to have a low score. As this can affect drivers specifically, the violations can result in expensive tickets that drivers have to pay out of pocket, and if they choose to fight it, you can be responsible for the litigation fees as well. Violations that impact BASIC scores also show up on a driver's PSP record for 3 years. So, what can drivers do to keep BASIC scores down? First, you should understand the program and what's expected of you. Driver behavior has a direct impact on how a fleet ranks in the program, making it important to understand the following: what violations carry more points and have the greatest impact, how long violations impact a score for, and how warnings can impact BASIC scores for just as much as a violation can. You should also aim to have the cleanest inspections as possible. So clean inspections positively impact a fleet score, and this is just because violations are going to drop out of the system over time. Remember, every violation you get during an inspection can harm BASIC scores even if there was no ticket issued. Also, understand testing requirements. So, drivers who operate commercial motor vehicles and perform safety-sensitive functions are subject to commercial driver's license requirements and must follow the DOT's drug and alcohol testing requirements. The FMCSA's definition of safety-sensitive functions is very broad and can even include waiting to be dispatched, inspecting or servicing vehicle equipment, driving a CMV, loading or unloading a CMV, or repairing one. Testing requirements have a wide applicability and affect most full-time, part-time, intermittent, backup, and international drivers. You should know the testing procedures. So per the FMCSA, testing occurs in a very specific instances. So testing is often performed prior to hiring, following an accident, or can even occur randomly. When testing for controlled substances, the DOT looks for 5 classes of drugs: marijuana, cocaine, amphetamines, methamphetamines, and even PCP. A driver will fail their drug test should they test positive for any of these substances. The DOT also examines a driver's blood alcohol concentration, or BAC. A driver will fail their alcohol test if they register a BAC of 0.04 or higher. If a driver fails a test, they're going to be immediately removed from the performing safety-sensitive functions until they complete a return to duty process with DOT qualified substance abuse professionals, also known as SAPs. The employer provides the individual with the list of SAPs free of charge. The driver then seeks a face-to-face evaluation from an SAP, at which point they refer the driver to treatment and education program. The driver completes a required treatment and education program and returns to the SAP for another face-to-face evaluation. From there, the SAP reports their findings to the designated employer representative if they're satisfied that the driver can return to driving. This report will list any continuing treatment and education if required. It also details the number of DOT follow-up drug or alcohol tests required in a given period. The driver goes for a return to duty drug and alcohol test, and the employer must wait for the go-ahead from the SAP before sending the driver in for the return to duty test. So, in other words, this is a massive inconvenience and is a huge process to go through. So, just avoiding the violations to begin with and doing the right thing is going to save you a lot of headache. Testing program. The primary goal of this program is to ensure the fleet does not allow drivers to operate a CMV if they receive a positive, adulterated, or substituted drug test result, the driver receives an alcohol confirmation test result of 0.04 or higher, the driver refuses to submit a test for drugs or alcohol, the driver drank alcohol while performing safety-sensitive functions or within 4 hours of performing safety-sensitive functions, or the driver used a controlled substance. Controlled substances and alcohol misuse policy. Companies should have a written policy on controlled substance use and alcohol misuse in the workplace as a part of drug and alcohol program. Drivers should reference this policy to ensure they are meeting workplace health and safety standards. You should report all violations. Reporting basic violations allows companies to stay ahead of potential issues and take action to lower their score. What's more, it's going to help you identify and appeal erroneous violations by using data from company systems like ELDs and GPSs. So in review, the FMCSA uses the CSA program to score motor carriers on safety categories called basics. Driver behavior has a direct impact on these scores, and it's important to avoid violations at all costs. And you can help maintain a low score by following the rules of the road and FMCSA's drug and alcohol regulations. With time, violations drop out of the system. This has been Jay with Inspirion Insurance Solutions. Appreciate you taking the time to listen to the Drug and Alcohol Basic. And for more information on how to create a policy for drug and alcohol or any other risk management services, feel free to give us a call at 844-558-7825. Thank you.